this has been a theme in my life, so I'm hearing it loud and clear again, is that the more we let go and just let our lives unfold for us, we've got to do the letting go and the trusting. And that's what's so scary is that we want to grip on for dear life. Like, no, 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 no.
I encountered this beautiful teaching. It's based in the Sedona method. You ask yourself a question on both sides, the polar opposites, and you keep working with them until you can accept either scenario. So for any of you out there that are struggling with letting go, whatever your issue might be, like maybe you really need more money, but there's aspects of us that there's belief systems that people that are rich are cold or uncaring. So you can want to have more money, but there are aspects of us that don't want to have more money. 95% of our thoughts, feelings, actions are being chosen from our subconscious, not from our conscious minds.
So welcome to the Michelle Chalfant Show. Anjie Hipple.
Hi, Michelle.
Hello.
We're almost neighbors, I feel.
I think we are. We're like maybe about 40 minutes apart from each other. So
Yeah.
it's fun to have you in North Carolina with me.
I know, it's great to be here.
We should have done this in person now that I think about it. I could have
Oh, that could have been fun.
down
Next
there.
time.
We'll do part two in person. Thank you for being here. I'm
you.
very much looking forward to this conversation. I think I found you maybe a year and a half, even 2 years ago, and I did come down and see you speak one time live, and that was
Yeah,
so
it was
fun.
fun.
And I said, I've got to have her on the show. So it's finally here. And we're going to speak a lot. There's so many things I have written down. I'm looking at my list, so many things that I want to talk with you about today. We're going to discuss physical ailments. We're going to talk about emotional health and how do you have really a healthy mindset. All of these things we're going to talk about today. And that's something that you speak a lot about. How do we clear limiting beliefs and wounding and
Yes.
all of that? But I feel like I would love to start with your story because
Sure.
I think it's an incredible story. So tell us about who you are and how you got here to where you are today.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I was just a typical American kid. I grew up in the Southeast in the Bible Belt. My mother and her family, and also my father's family, were nominal Christians, I would say, and they were raised in church. My mom and dad. When I came along, they were busy, pursuing the American dream, making money, success, having all the things and all that. And as I grew up, I began asking my mom questions about life, God, why is the sky blue, things like that. My mom decided she'd better get me to church because she didn't know exactly how to tell me the answers. So when I was about 7, she took me to church for the first time, and there was something, some pull or draw in me to understand this unseen realm and know this beautiful Jesus that I saw on the stained glass windows. And so I had a lot of heavy buy-in personally in the Christian faith as a very young child. And my father ultimately became a minister when I was in middle school, and he was the pastor of a Southern Baptist church. He was kind of in that Jerry Falwell, strict kind of fundamentalist vein of Christianity. And so I was raised in all of that. I had some really cool, very real experiences with the divine when I was 7, 8, 11, 12. I could describe them to you. They were really profound. I probably finished reading the Bible for the first time cover to cover when I was 8 or 9 years old. And I occasionally would just read a story. I would read it all of my own accord, when I was by myself. That's what my Sunday school teacher taught me to do. And I remember sometimes feeling like the words on the page had been specifically, this is, maybe my narcissistic or just childlike imagination, that God actually penned those just for me at a moment in time when I would read them. I felt really personally guided by some of the things that were there. So I grew up in this faith. I got married very young, which I'd kind of been conditioned to do, be a mom, be a wife, be the good Christian mother, serve in the church, serve in the community. Did all those things for decades. I had 3 children with my first husband. We were together 27 years.
Wow.
There was a lot of good things in there and also a lot of crazy things. There was quite a bit of oppression, religious rules, dogmas, limiting beliefs. I struggled a lot with depression. I had been on antidepressants most on and off most of my adult life. I once saw a therapist that told me I would never get off of them. I needed to just resign myself to having this mild depression my whole life. And now today I have to take 0 medications. I have beautiful health. I'm
Mhm.
not perfect, but I'm not suffering.
Mm.
And I learned through my awakening process, which we'll get into later, that suffering is the byproduct of the ego. And the ego is not some kind of devious, devilish tendency in me or in us. Instead, it's these young, fragile, hurting parts from our past, painful memories that are stored in our subconscious mind that can sometimes push or pull us to act in ways that aren't really congruent with who we really are. We adapt, and we can get into more of that when I finish my story about how we adapt
Mhm.
ourselves. But when I got to be in my mid 40s, fast forward, still living in the fundamentalist Christian church, I loved to sing and lead worship. I was in a mega church similar to a Hillsong church where I would sing for thousands of people. Loved that, enjoyed that so much, was always well received in the church community that I was in, my family. I taught school. I was teaching 2nd grade. I had 3 grown kids, almost grown, 2 teenagers, one that had already moved out, and I had my first grandbaby. And just a busy, happy life, but a lot of suffering underneath still. I mean, I was the consummate
Mhm.
personal development, self-help guru. I
Mhm.
mean, if it was on the self-help shelf, I had read it, and maybe 3 or 4 times. I remember one time, just to tell you how, like, in the zone I was with this stuff, I had a friend that decided to go to get her master's in psychology, and my gift to her was, like, several grocery bags stuffed full of psychology. I thought, "She's gonna need these," and I'm done with them, so in my mid-40s, my dad died suddenly,
Mm.
and it was a major earth-shattering change for me in so many ways, and I've found as we progress with our talk, and I talk about how I got into this spiritual space, what I have found is most people that have what we call this buzzword of an awakening have some kind of major happening in their life, the death of a loved one, a near death experience, a brush with cancer, something like that that kind of kickstarts this questioning of what is and how I've done things. So my dad died suddenly. I got a phone call that he was dead. I was the only child. I was the apple of his eye. I adored my father. When I got the call, I was stunned. I was in shock. I rushed into the closet to throw on some clothes to go to the hospital a couple hours away to be with my mom. And as I stood in the closet, this presence came in the closet. Is the only way to explain it. I felt instantly elevated into a state of bliss and joy that I've never experienced before.
Mhm.
And it was just giddy and elative and just beyond description, really, and I knew it was my dad. I knew that when my dad left his sweet body in the hospital, somehow he came to me in that closet to check on me, just to let me know the joy that he felt, the love, the bliss that he was in, and, yeah, it was a beautiful moment.
Mm.
So then for about a year after that, my life began to just crumble in many ways. I inherited my father's business. There were several families dependent on that income. I was running back and forth a 2-hour drive from where I lived and my job and my kids and my responsibilities to look after my dad's business and run his business and make
Mm.
sure everybody got paid and the gentleman that worked for him for 30 years began stealing from us. So everything just went nuts, just nuts.
Yeah.
Whatever could come apart came apart. And my marriage began to disintegrate in this time too. And I ended up divorced. And, the cool thing was in all of it, there was a light,
Mm.
kind of calling to me. I don't, that sounds kind of weird and metaphorical, but I was feeling free for some reason. I was feeling a shift coming. I was feeling a change. I was feeling myself changing. And I was allowing myself to kind of question things that hadn't worked and why I was here and really look in myself a little more. And I had begun having acupuncture at that point, which was a real step off the path for me because I'd been kind of impressed that that kind of stuff was dangerous, from my religious community. And anyway, I began to kind of allow myself to explore a little bit more outside of my Christian container. And I started really getting set free and feeling better in a lot of ways. So, yeah, I hit this really intense kind of awakening. And during that season, I met my new partner, who's actually today's our fifth anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. And he was really my guru. I mean, he was more than just my lover and then my partner. He was really my guru. I mean, he really taught me, opened my eyes to so many things about myself and about life and the nature of the universe. And he was the total opposite of everything I had been. He was a true child of the sexual revolution. He had spent years in an ashram with an enlightened being. So we were like oil and water, or maybe no, maybe it was great, salt and pepper. So, but the intensity of my growth process really kicked in with him because he had a magical way of pushing my ego buttons. And I had decided I was going to let them break, if I could, just
Mm.
let those buttons, my triggers get finally broken.
What a beautiful divine union, I should say,
Mhm.
if there's a better way of saying. I'm thinking about if we think about the soul's path, you
Mhm.
went from a very Christian background
Mhm.
to then meeting this man that has lived in an ashram. Like it couldn't be, like you said, like salt and pepper, but he was such a big part of your awakening experience. So
Yeah.
clearly he was a divinely inspired or divinely put right on your path at the perfect time.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
absolutely, and I did feel that. I mean, there was a point actually, there was a day that I was going to meet him, very, what's the right word? Platonically,
Mhm,
no romantic thought had passed through my mind or his,
mhm.
and as I got in the car and I was about a mile from where I would see him, the whole car filled up with this presence, and it took my breath away. I couldn't breathe, and I as it was happening, I thought his name, Chuck, and I thought maybe he'd done some kind of magic on me or some kind of voodoo or something. I thought, "Who's this person? Why did this just happen?" Now that I look back on it, I think it was, those angels present just saying, this is it. This is the way, or this is, us. We're letting you know we're in this. We're in this. Keep
Mm.
going,
Oh,
you
wow.
know. And so that moment really gave me a lot of courage to proceed to actually solicit him for a romantic relationship because we were,
Mm,
like I said, total opposites, oil and water. And he's 25 years older than me as well. So at
mm.
his age, he was not looking for a girlfriend. He was like ready to just do the bachelor thing. So,
I love that. Can you imagine a place where you can learn and grow together? You know, something that I hear from people all the time and for years is when we do our personal work, we are growing and we have nobody to share it with. Maybe our friends and our family, like they don't quite understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, but we're so excited on the inside and we don't feel a sense of community. This has been on my heart for years, which is why I'm really excited to announce I am creating a brand new community for people that want to feel like they belong, for people that are doing this inner work. They want a community around them. It's called the Adult Chair Collective. And every month, we are going to be going through a new masterclass where I'm going to teach you all the concepts in the adult chair. Everything from building self-worth, healing codependency, learning how to manage your triggers, cultivating healthy relationships, setting boundaries, and so much more. So every month you're going to get a masterclass, and then we're going to do a live Q&A and coaching with yours truly. And then the best part is we have a community that is going to be there to support you and encourage you every step of the way. So if this is something you'd like to check out, we'd love to have you the month of December. We are doing self-worth, building self-love. It's all coming your way in December. So check it out at michellechalfant.com/collective, and I'll see you there. And the other thing I'm hearing is this has been a theme in my life, so I'm hearing it loud and clear again, is that the more we let go and just let our lives unfold for us, and they will unfold. The more we let go and trust that this process really is not ours, it's happening through us, the more our life just beautifully will take shape for us. But we've got to do the letting go and the trusting, and that's what's so scary is that we want to grip on for dear life. Like, no, 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 no. Let me control her. Let me do this. It's like I keep hearing that you just kept letting go and letting it happen. It's really beautiful to hear that.
Yeah, and let's talk about that a little more about this letting go and surrender. In my first marriage, my husband was an alcoholic and still is, and I had been a part of Al-Anon for a long time. That had been really instrumental in kind of awakening me to different perspectives.
Mm.
I'll never forget being in a meeting with a woman that when we would talk about higher power, she would say higher power she would refer to her higher power she, and that would just make me crazy because my fundamentalist Christian dogma was screaming, "No, no, no, God is a man." What is this? So that was a really cool part of my awakening 12th step. But I never could quite grasp this letting go concept that they would talk about so much. I was like, okay, yeah, I hear you. Let go and let God. And everybody had it tattooed on their arm or their hand or whatever. I was like, but how do you do it?
Exactly. How do you
So
do it? It's
let me
terrifying.
share how you
Yes.
do it. I will
Yes.
share what I learned. So a few years into my relationship with Chuck, 2020 came, COVID was on the scene. It was just hitting the news. I got sick right away. Our stepson was home from college with COVID, came down with COVID. I had a lot of serious side effects, some things going on with my heart and autoimmune disease and different things. So I
Mm,
ended up being sick for a really long time.
mm.
It was a total of 2 years. So, talk about letting go. I had to let go. I was a new wife. I couldn't make the dinner at night. If on a good day, I might be able to do a load of laundry. I had to let go of my wifely duties. I had to let go of I couldn't get out and do things with my kids. I had a grandchild on the way. I couldn't be there for the birth. I wasn't able to get in the car and drive. I was so sick. So I
Wow.
was letting go, letting go, letting go. And by this time, I knew from my experiences and my relationship, my mentoring from Chuck, that surrender is the way,
Yeah.
lean into it.
Yeah.
So I would sit in the chair in my recliner, not having the strength to fulfill any roles anymore. I had to stop working. So I didn't have that. I couldn't sing, the passion, the
Mm.
love of my life. I didn't have the energy to sing.
Wow.
All the roles ended. Wife, mother, musician, teacher. Couldn't fulfill them.
Everything. Wow.
Sat in the chair and had
Wow.
no promise about whether or not I would ever get well again, but way too young to feel like this.
Hmm.
And so the letting go, how do you do it? Letting go of both sides. I encountered this beautiful teaching, old teaching, and this is how you play this little game. We call it the getting free game. It's based in the Sedona method.
Hmm.
I would sit in the chair as I meditated and I would say, can I let go of wanting and needing to be healthy? And can I let go of wanting and needing to be unhealthy? So for any of you out there that are struggling with about letting go, whatever your issue might be, like maybe you really need more money. Can I let go of wanting and needing more money?
Mhm.
Can I let go of wanting and needing to not have more money? You see, a lot of times we want more money, we need it, but there's aspects of us that there's belief systems that people that are rich are cold or
Right,
uncaring or
right.
using people or people that are rich or focusing on the or are evil in some way or dispassionate. So we can want to have more money, but there are aspects of us that don't want to have more money. So for instance, maybe we want or need it, but we're afraid that if we have it, we're going to be too busy. We
Mhm.
won't have time for ourselves. We'll be
Mhm. Right.
owned by our job or our business and so on. So so here's how you play this little game that will help you to surrender. You ask yourself a question on both sides, the polar opposites,
Mhm.
and you keep working with them until you can accept either scenario. Either scenario. So for instance, when I was so sick, I would say, "Can I let go of wanting and needing to be healthy?" And there was a part of me that couldn't let go of that. I couldn't accept that I might be this way for the rest of my life. There was a part of me that would have rather been dead
Mm.
than to be disabled in this way for the rest of my life. I couldn't let go of wanting and needing to be healthy. But
Mm.
as I kept working with that, eventually I was willing to accept maybe this is my fate. Maybe this is the will of some
God,
divinity,
source,
and
yeah.
I will accept it. I will surrender to it. If it's my fate to be sick, I will surrender. I will accept it. Then, on the other hand, can I let go of wanting and needing to be unhealthy? Well, my mind said, well, that's ridiculous. This method is
Mm.
stupid. Why
Mhm.
would I not want to be healthy? But when I really looked into it deeply, there were reasons that I didn't want to be healthy. Well, one was when I was a little girl, I always got a lot of love and affection and care from my mom when I was sick. So I
Mm.
had been conditioned in a way like that, that being sick would attract the love and compassion that I wanted from the people in my life. There were other reasons why I wanted to be sick. If I was sick, everybody was nicer to me.
Mhm.
People weren't niggling or arguing or making demands or those kind of things. And when I was sick also, I was off the hook from all my responsibilities. You see, I had been that overly responsible,
Mhm.
straight A, good girl my whole life, worked harder and harder and harder all the time to earn love and then make sure that I kept earning it so it wouldn't be taken away. And
Mm.
so there was a part of me that wanted to just give up on that whole game. I didn't wanna I didn't want to have the perfect house and be the Martha Stewart anymore and also bring home the bacon and be hot in the bedroom. I was sick of that whole formula, do all of these things and then you're enough. And there was aspects of me that were like, "Screw this."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so being sick gave me an excuse to withdraw from all of that and to be released from all these expectations that other people had of me.
Mm. What a
So
beautiful
as I sat and
example.
worked with
Thank
these
you.
2 questions, can I let go of wanting to be healthy? Can I let go of wanting to be unhealthy? And I kept owning the truth about myself.
Mhm.
I literally started getting free. And
Mm.
after 2 years of meditating and working in this way and looking at life and reading enlightened masters and teachers, I had a profound visit from some angels, and it was totally unexpected. It wasn't something I had on my bucket list. It wasn't something I had to wanted to do, and it was profound, it was visual, it was physical. I was immediately physically healed, and my life was changed from then on.
Whoa. Okay. That's a big bomb you just dropped. That's
Mhm.
incredible. But, such a detachment from
Mhm.
both outcomes. I mean, this is what we're here to learn, and wow,
Yes.
how difficult. And when you were saying that about your mom, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, when I was a little girl, I got a lot of attention. I know when I'm sick
Mhm.
now, my husband gives me a lot of attention." I could imagine that there would be a part that would say, "No, no, no, I wanna be this way."
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear about okay, so you had this visitation. So what happened? Tell us give us some good details about. What happened when the angels came to visit?
Yeah, well, so a little bit of backstory. Chuck had always enjoyed listening to channelers. Not all of them, but some. He had some favorites, Cryon, Bashar.
Mhm. Yeah.
And when we first started dating, this was another thing that I just thought was absolutely crazy and a scary recipe for getting possessed or something.
And
This
definitely going
is
straight to hell.
yeah, 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 yeah. Witchcraft, yeah.
Yes.
So, but what happened is through time in our relationship, as I would watch some of these channelers, I felt genuinely uplifted and helped by the practical messages that they had, and I felt like it really gave me a larger perspective on my life, on the
Mm.
purpose of life, on how to live, and I just and a lot of it really resonated with me, and it helped kind of put some pieces of the puzzle together for me about my own spirituality and experience with Jesus and so on. So, Chuck and I would enjoy from time to time watching some of these channelers. So, about this time, 2 years into this disease, this having not being able to do anything, this
Mhm.
surrendering more and more and more, more and more. Reading anything by an enlightened being that I could get my hands on. Chuck and I were sitting on the couch one night watching a channeler that we enjoyed, and he said, "You know, you could do that." And I said, "Okay." I don't know, it was finally surrendering, I guess. There was no more resistance
Right.
there.
Right.
That was it. That was really the end of the discussion. I went to bed that night and I had this incredible visitation. So the story was that my daughter, my oldest, is having a new baby, her third, and I was not going to be able to be there because I was so sick.
Mm.
I was heartbroken over that. So what happened to me in the middle of the night that night is I experienced the sensation of his little body, my little grandson, as if it were in my body. I know it sounds
Wow.
weird,
Yeah.
but I could feel my physical uterus contracting like it does when you're getting ready to give labor, and I
Mhm.
could feel his little head pushing down really hard on my pelvic floor, just like you feel right before you give birth.
Wow.
And I could sense his little heart and his spirit, and I was kinda communing with this little baby, and it was as if his little angel self that was getting ready to be born 4 hours away from me, it was as if he was talking to me and telling me why God sent him to the earth and what he was going to be doing
Mm.
and why his birth was important, and his name, by the way, was Ember, which was so appropriate because at that time, it was in the darkest time of COVID, and that's what we needed. We needed these little embers of
Wow.
life and
Mhm.
beauty.
Mhm.
So I woke up the next morning. It was such a profound experience. It was definitely some kind of strange metaphysical thing that had never happened to me before. And I'm aware of how weird it sounds just to tell it. But, when it happens to you, what do? You can't disregard it anymore. It's easy to poo-poo and put down, different things that you see that come across your feed or stories
Mhm.
you hear. But once it happens to you, everything changes
Yeah.
because nobody can take away from you what you have experienced. So the next morning I got up and Chuck had already left for work. I got out my laptop and I typed up this message that I had received as well as I remembered it. And as I was doing that, I could feel these presences coming again, these angels speaking to me, telling me their name, telling me
Wow.
more information about why they were speaking to me at this time. And I was just typing away. So when Chuck came home that night, I said, let me tell you what happened and read this message to you. And I did. And he said, well, you're channeling. I'm like, okay, all right. So this must be it. What do we do? And so we decided to sit down and meditate, which we did really regularly anyway. And within a few seconds, this huge, beautiful voice came barreling through my voice, and I could feel all this vibration. It was actually, this is important to say. The first thing that happened as they were coming through is they smiled my face. Like, my face just broke into this huge smile, and I couldn't stop smiling, and I literally did not have the ability to not smile. They were controlling my face with this big smile. And then they started just talking, and as they're talking, I could felt like a drill bit was going right in this area here.
in your third
Very
eye.
physical, visceral, tangible energies.
Mm.
And
Were you
and then
scared at all?
well, I should have been. I should have been
Right.
freaked out, but the thing is it was so joyful
Yeah.
and so loving.
Yeah.
The energy was very clearly not anything nefarious. It was so loving, and the message was so loving.
Mm. So that was the first night of your well,
Mhm.
clearly the experience you had with your grandson was also a channeling, but this was the
Yeah.
first night when so the angels came through you,
Speaking through my voice,
speaking
yeah.
through you. So it's more of a trance channel then, where they're kind
Yes.
of using your body and the energy's coming through and they're using you as their voice. Yes.
Yes, and within I mean, a couple of hours afterwards, I noticed, "Oh, wait a minute. I'm healed." So,
Really?
the energy that they brought through is what healed me physically, and I was fine from that day forward.
Wow. So just in a matter of hours. After 2 years of sitting then
Yeah,
and not being able to do anything, in just a matter of a couple hours, you were healed.
yeah,
It's so incredible. Well, if you think about the angelic realm or just any realm higher than being a human, I mean, it's high, high energy, and we're
right.
energy beings, which I keep saying, I'm like, we are energy beings. We're spiritual beings first in human form. And when we remember that and we're able to tap into exactly what you're talking about, healing absolutely can and does occur.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
healing is inevitable when we raise our vibration to a certain extent because it is our body's natural way to heal
Yeah.
itself when
Yeah.
it's given the proper environment. And the reason that we have so much sickness and disease is because of the lower, denser energies that we repress and carry around. I mean, literally, what happened to me, if I had been in a different mental emotional state, I could have had COVID, sneezed a couple of times, it
Mhm.
would have been over. But the truth was more like at that point that I got COVID, I had so much repressed pain and hurt, sadness, grief. Actually, the way my body responded to the COVID is it developed a sac of water around my heart in what's called the heart protector.
Mm.
The pericardial sac developed water around it, and this is what caused all the lengthy issues. So that even in itself is symbolic,
Mm.
right? It's like all my life I was trying to protect the heart, shield the heart, all the self-protection, the repression of grief and emotion, and that's what made my heart weak.
Mm.
And every disease has a spiritual and emotional root. I've learned this from my husband Chuck, who was an acupuncturist for over 40 years, and he is an exceptional, very enlightened healer.
Mhm.
But all of these things have emotional and physical roots in our physicality. And when we learn how to work properly with ourself, through
Mhm.
contemplation, through meditation, through self inquiry, through finding the subconscious root, we can train our subconscious mind how to clear what is holding us up.
Mm.
And then we can heal ourselves. Our body knows the way. It just needs us to remove the other commands. It's kind of like, when I was talking about the two questions, it's my body, my inner being was singing two songs. Part
Mm.
of me was saying, "I wanna be well, I wanna be well." And the other part was saying, "I'm sick of all this, taking care of everybody. I don't wanna be well. I want to withdraw from life. I don't wanna do it anymore."
So true.
So I was my inner being, my physiology, my was singing 2 songs, and I had to rectify that. Until I could rectify that, I couldn't get well because there were 2 commands going forth. One was be well and one was be sick. And, what I discovered as I continue learning and growing and helping folks is, science is telling us this, and the greats like Bruce Lipton and
Mhm.
Dispenza and the ones that are doing the scientific work have helped us understand this, that 95% of our thoughts, feelings, actions are being chosen from our subconscious, not from our
Yes.
conscious mind. So 5% of us of our thoughts and feelings and actions in this moment today we will choose consciously, but the other 95% of what we do is already kind of set in stone. It's stored in our memory banks. So it's kind of like for all of us, like my issue was a physical issue at that time, but maybe yours is different. Maybe it's a heartbreak or a child that's addicted or
Mhm.
whatever struggles it is that you're going through that you want something to be different. It's like going into a restaurant and you sit down and you look at the menu and you order something you really want, sounds delicious, and the waiter takes the recipe back to the chef and says, "I'd really like to," they're ordering this pizza and this artisan pizza. And the chef puts sardines and chicken and ketchup and hot sauce and sugar and all this junk on it and brings you out
Mhm.
this really nasty, nasty pizza. And you look at it and you think, no, wait, 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 that's not what I wanted. So you give the instruction to the waiter again. This is what I want. This artisan pizza here with it's delicious, not this. This is gross. And so the waiter can go back to the chef again and again and again. The chef is using the recipe of the subconscious mind, and
Mhm.
he's just using the same recipe, and you're always gonna
Over.
get the same crappy stuff. So until we learn how to give our subconscious mind a brand new recipe to tear out the recipe, take it away from the chef, tear it
Mhm.
out permanently, erase it from our neural network, and replace it with the recipe that we want, then we finally get what we want. But a lot of us are we try different things like even Michelle's beautiful teachings and other people's, and we try it, and it doesn't seem to work, and it's not that it's not wonderful and effective and truthful and of high agency. The problem is that our subconscious mind, it we haven't reached our subconscious mind yet.
Yes.
Retrain it with the truth.
So true. What do you say to somebody that might come back to you and say, but, this runs in the family, heart disease, this disease, autoimmune, breast cancer, whatever it might be. It's in my genes because my mom and, it's intergenerational. It's going to be passed down. What would you say to them?
Well, they've done a lot of studies with twins, for instance.
Mhm.
So twins that were adopted or twins where one was raised in one family and one in the other. And so in these adopted twins, if one parent had a history, a familial genetic history of a certain disease, then that twin would inherit or contract that disease. Whereas the twin that was raised by the parents who did not have those genetic illnesses did not develop those diseases. So a lot of this is still belief. I was just working with a mom and her 2 daughters the other day. Beautiful mom and 2 daughters. Their mom has lung cancer. The daughters are very concerned. They were there for kind of an emergency session with Judah and I.
Mhm.
And the mom's mother also died of cancer. So can we heal that with the coaching and with angels? Absolutely, because there's a root there. That beautiful mom was imprinted by the disease and decline of her mother and watching her subsequent early death, and she was imprinted with a subconscious belief that she might also die in the same way. So
Mhm.
now as a result of that subconscious belief, she's developed cancer. So Judah talked to her in the session about that it's time for her to decide the legacy that she wants to leave to her daughters. And the legacy from when I say that, I'm talking about a spiritual legacy of what do you want to leave your daughters when you are on the other side?
Mm.
And the legacy is I can heal. This is what we decided. I can heal myself. I do not have to die of cancer just because my mother died of cancer.
Big.
And
Mhm.
and I do not one of the things that we did together is we pronounced to the universe, I do not have to have cancer to learn my lessons. Because I asked her, I said, "Sweetie, why do you feel that you have cancer?" She said, "Well, I believe that it's that I need to learn something from it. I want to learn something from it."
Mhm.
And I said, "Okay, but can you learn what you need to learn about your life without cancer? Let's do it that way instead." So
Mm.
we had to break that. So she's subconsciously come into alignment with the cancer. Okay, the cancer's my friend. It's here to teach me something.
Mhm.
And also, in another way, she came into alignment because she saw her mother die of it. So she came into a belief that if it's, happened to her, it can happen to me.
Right.
So we had to break those agreements so she can be free to heal herself.
This is such good stuff. What would you say to somebody right now that's listening that doesn't have you having that they can't have a session with you today? Where do they begin? If they're sitting here thinking, "Well, I've got depression or I've got X, I've got this disease or whatever it might be." What can they do starting today to start doing their own personal healing?
It's beautiful.
Mhm.
Well, what I've learned over the years is that every fruit has a root. Yeah.
Mhm.
So imagine your life. Imagine that let's say you have cancer or maybe your husband is cheating and you're on the verge of divorce.
Mhm.
So every tree that has fruit has a root. So if there's the fruit there of cancer, there is a spiritual and emotional root. If there's the fruit there of a husband cheating, then there's a spiritual or emotional root
Yeah.
to that. So let me just take the example of a husband cheating for a moment.
Yep.
So let's talk about how these roots and then the fruit. Yeah. So
Mhm.
let's say you're a woman now, but maybe when you were a young girl, you saw your father cheat on your mom.
Mm.
Maybe you didn't even know you heard the whispered conversations or the fights, and maybe didn't even or weren't aware of the details, but you just saw your mother's heart break, and you knew something was wrong,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So in those judgments and subconscious roots are formed from pain. So in that pain of watching your mother's heart break, yeah, there's hurt there. And when we're hurt, we judge because the judgments tend to form a protection for us. So as a little girl, you might have judged men are mean, men hurt. They will break your heart. Men are cheaters.
Mhm.
To be married is to be sad, or to be married is to be hurt or betrayed. So,
Mhm.
whatever these different beliefs that you might have onboarded as a little girl, maybe even ones like being a woman is painful, could be many different beliefs.
Mhm.
So these little beliefs are like seeds that go in the subconscious. Going back to the other metaphor, they're the recipes. They're the recipes that get
Yes.
stored in the recipe book in the subconscious kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
so they're seeds, and these little seeds go in these tender young hearts and begin to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And it can be 10, 20, 30 years, decades. And then we get into those middle life years, and then the fruit starts to appear.
Mhm.
And it's bad fruit, it's rotten fruit.
Mhm.
And it's the stuff we don't want in life. And we don't understand how we're creating it or why it's happening to us. So, an example of this, let's say this same young woman grows up. She meets a man, let's say, that is completely trustworthy. He adores her. He worships the ground she walks on. She's the only thing he thinks about. He loves her so much. There's not a cheating bone in his body. He
Mhm.
never has a wandering eye. He's just a good, loyal guy,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
What happens though when they get joined together in marriage, once they get married, then he begins to be defiled by those judgments, those seeds, those subconscious roots.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, she has these unconscious beliefs. are cheaters. Men hurt. They break women's heart. They can't be trusted. And they're buried in her subconscious mind. She's not consciously aware of them,
Mhm.
but they're in there. And so she begins to defile him with that. And years go by, and then the fruit begins to appear. And all of a sudden, he's tempted to cheat, whereas he would have never done that
Mhm.
before. But
Yeah.
because she has this subconscious belief under the surface, it's eliciting this behavior from him. It's a setup, it's a defilement, so to speak. So the problem with self-help and psychology is that we can be like metaphorically climbing the tree, snipping off the bad fruit, pulling off the bad fruit, composting it, snipping off the branches, pruning, doing all these things that don't work. Because if the root is below the surface in the subconscious, that fruit is going to continue to reappear over and over and over, no matter what we say to it, do to it, talk about it, pluck it off, try to graft in something different until we pull the tree up by the root and get to it in the subconscious. We can't get free of it.
Mm. So how would someone do that?
Mm.
What are some ways to get to tap into the subconscious mind?
Hmm.
Start
Hmm.
looking at our roots.
Yeah. Well, I do this kind of work constantly now. It's a way of life for me, and I teach
Mhm.
it, and I want to give some things free to your folks here.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
So know that your higher self is resident in your subconscious mind as your superconscious. This is what Carl Jung called. Carl Jung spoke of the conscious, the subconscious, and the superconscious.
Okay.
So your superconscious dwells in your subconscious mind, and it is the divine aspect of you that is innocent, that's flawless, blameless, that's eternal, that will continue to exist once you leave the body. It's your higher self or your soul.
Mhm.
So, this superconscious, you can train it to heal the subconscious. So, here's an example. Let's say your husband comes in and he says something to you that just rubs you the wrong way. It's
Mhm.
just him being a guy, but for some reason it just triggers you and you're just really reactive inside.
Mhm.
What you would do in that moment is say, super conscious, please find the root, the subconscious root of this that I'm feeling right now.
Mhm.
And please clear that root completely in all realms of time and space. Because likely it has nothing to do with what he said. It's just that what he said was similar to the way your dad used to talk to you when he was angry or whatever,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so you look back inside yourself instead of blaming, accusing, defending, arguing, justifying. You avoid that ego response of justify, argue, defend, explain, blame, point fingers.
Mhm.
And instead, you remember what I said here, that if you've got the fruit, you've got the root, not your husband. Yeah, he's got his roots. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But we can't fix that, right? We can't control that. We can only look at what's in us. So remember what I said. If you have the presence of mind, look in your inner being, say super conscious. Do you see the root of this?
Mhm.
Mhm. Good. Thank you. Can you heal it? Yeah, most of the time you'll hear in your inner being, "Yes." And then just say, "Thank you. Please heal that." Or ask your angels to help you. I ask Judah all the time, "Judah, please tag and treat this." The reason if you watch some of our free
Good.
videos, we've got a lot of free videos on this on YouTube, but you'll hear me say tag and treat. The reason I say that is because in our subconscious mind are billions of impressions.
Yes.
What is stored in there is every thought, feeling, smell, taste, everything that's ever happened to us is stored in our subconscious mind. And this is connected to what I call our personal field in the quantum field, which resides in the fifth dimension. And it's like our personal Akashic records. And in this personal field is everything that's ever happened to us in every realm, in every lifetime. If you believe in that, and if you don't, that's fine. It doesn't preclude you from using this strategy.
Mhm.
So Yeah, you say the reason I say tag and treat is because it's kind of like if you had a herd of cattle, they
Mhm.
all look kind of the same.
Uh-huh.
You wanted to keep track of one before it goes missing in the crowd, you would put a tag on its ear. So we have so many memories in there that need healing, they need clearing. And
Mhm.
so when it pops up in the moment because it's triggered by something going on in your current experience, you want to tag it. And so it gets fully treated. So it's kind of like if I said to you, Michelle, I'm going to ask you a question. You ready? And then I don't ask anything, so nothing pops up into your mind. But if I say to you, Michelle, what was your favorite Christmas present ever when you were a kid?
Then it would pop up.
It pops right up, right from
Without
your
even thinking
unconscious.
about it, it just goes, "Whoop," there it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is day to day when we're in the middle of the thing we don't want to be happening, the
Yeah.
thing that we're doing again to ourselves or that same business meeting that goes bad all the time, whatever it is, when it's happening in the moment, that's the fruit on the tree.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, the bad fruit. There it is again. Gross. Don't want this fruit. It's rotten.
Yep.
The job is to go into the self, deep into the self and find the root. Say super conscious, please find the root of what I'm feeling right now and do a massive change history. And
Do we need to consciously know what it is, or are we just asking super consciousness to find it for us? Tag and treat it.
you just can let them do it. We
Let
don't
them
have
do
to
it.
do a lot of digging around and excavating. It's so beautiful.
And
We don't have to do that at all.
that's what's so crazy is that healing is really this easy right now. And meaning right now,
Mhm.
like in this day and age, and I don't
Yes.
think we can wrap our brains around it. We
Yes.
can't. But we need to understand that in this day and age, we can really heal this fast. We can flip beliefs. We can find the unconscious programming
Mhm.
that fast.
So fast. So fast. It can be, like, instantaneous. There are certain ways that Chuck might look at me a certain way that might trigger me. Maybe my dad used to give me a dirty look or a teacher or s and so all of these things are neural networks, like the root system of the tree, right?
Mhm.
Our brain naturally creates associations. "Oh, this feels like that experience, and this feels like that experience." So our brain that's its job to make all these neural associations and connections. So when I'm triggered in the moment by that look, when I go inside and say, "Ooh, how did that made me feel less than?" Okay. Super conscious, Judah is the name of my angels. Judah, can you please find all of that not measuring up, all the memories of not measuring up, all the memories of not being good enough. Please tag and treat all of them and remove all the negative emotion from them and replace them with positive self-empowering beliefs. And it works. It works. And
And
then
it's that fast.
you know it because you feel better. And then the next time he gives me the dirty look, I think, "Ah,
Whatever.
whatever." And
I
that's how
love it.
you know that it works. And wisdom is to do what works, right?
Yeah.
Not to do just to stop doing the stuff that doesn't work.
Yeah. Ooh, that's so good. My gosh. Thank you for sharing that. I really do believe that. I see that with the people that I work with now. I don't work with individuals, but do work with small groups, and I'm seeing people, man, they're changing and shifting so much faster than ever. And I've been doing this 20, 25 years. It's very different energy on the planet, and I think it's just primed for us to start releasing all this old stuff, all the limiting beliefs. We just don't need them anymore. They're ready to go. We just
Yeah,
got
yeah, and we have an audio program that's really expensive that people can sign up for to do this to be guided
Yeah.
through doing this tagging and treating. But once you get really good at it, you can do it everywhere you go. Like, we are constantly bumping into different fields and interacting with different energies. Like, you might have a fabulous day today and decide to go to the grocery store to pick up dinner, and as you walk out of the grocery store, you suddenly feel really, really tired. And
Yeah.
so we might say, "Oh, it's been a long day, I'm kinda tired." Maybe not. Maybe it's just that we were in the grocery store with all these
Yes.
energies of all these people exhausted after work. So we can learn to say, Judah, angels, superconscious, Holy Spirit, Jesus, please treat the field of all the people in the grocery store. Please treat this tiredness. Do a massive change history and everything after that. And we can literally give people love that way by clearing the
Mm.
energies from their fields that are intruding on their life and that they're suffering from, that they just because they just don't know,
They
right?
don't know. Talk about the power of intention,
Mhm.
power of our spoken word, or even if we're just saying it in our mind. It's so
Mhm.
we are so powerful. We don't even know. We're
Yes,
not even.
ma'am.
Yeah, we're not. Oh my gosh. I have so many more questions. Okay, please will you come back for part 2 because
Of course.
I feel like we're just opening the door to all this and I wanted to speak with Judah, but I know we're out of time now. So if you would please come back, we can continue on with this discussion of clearing limiting beliefs, talking more about Judah. And by the way, can any of us ask for Judah? Judah, they're your group of angels that you speak with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you
Absolutely. People call out to Judah all the time for help. They are from the angelic realm. They are part of the Christ consciousness. They love Christ, so if you are a Christ follower, you won't have to worry about being out of alignment in any way in that way. But yes, you can definitely ask Judah for help, and Judah gives people miracles everywhere all the time. I
Mm,
mean, I get the stories of them all the time. I actually woke up the other night in the middle of the night, and I heard a man say to Judah, "Judah, should I have this surgery?" And I heard Judah respond and say, "Yes, have the surgery. It's going to be very successful." So this made me laugh because I was hearing people's prayers to Judah and I was hearing their responses. It was pretty cool.
love that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Where would people find you? Let us know.
You can find us at thejudahchannel.com, the Judah channel on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We do tons of deep teachings and channelings on YouTube for free that you can pick up, and there's also free resources on our website, and we have some really inexpensive programs for clearing subconscious beliefs, and we have some fun events that you can show up for if you want to ask the angels a question or ask me a question. Yeah, we would love to serve you in any way we can.
Yay. I will put that link in the show notes. Thank you for being here today. This was very enlightening and thank you for helping this planet awaken just a little bit more. We really need these
My
teachings. So
pleasure.
thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Michelle.